most men have been sold a myth about their bodies. A myth that says their sexual experience is a straight line with a beginning, a middle, and one single end. We're taught that male pleasure is simple arousal, penetration, and ejaculation done. Curtain closes, the end. But what if that wasn't the end? What as a man, you weren't limited to one climax per encounter? What if you could experience multiple orgasms one after another with more intensity, more energy, and more pleasure than you ever thought possible? Because here's the truth, men are not biologically limited to one orgasm. They're only limited by conditioning, by lack of training, and by the belief that male pleasure has to follow one path. Once you let go of the idea and learn the 5 techniques I'm going to share with you, you'll discover an entirely new dimension of intimacy. One where orgasm is not the finish line, but an ongoing experience. They're the first and most fundamental technique is separating orgasm from ejaculation. For most men, these two experiences feel inseparable. You build arousal, tension rises there. Then there's an uncontrollable release, and with that release comes ejaculation and the end of the encounter. But orgasm and ejaculation are not the same thing. Ejaculation is a physical discharge. Orgasm is an energetic wave, a full body contraction of pleasure. If you can learn to separate the two, you can orgasm repeatedly without ejaculating, which means you don't lose energy. You don't need long recovery times, and you can keep going. Think of ejaculation as spending all your energy in one go. While orgasm without ejaculation is like sipping the energy, cycling it, enjoying it without burning it out. This is the foundation of multi-orgasmic masculinity. So how do you start? It begins with awareness of your arousal levels. Most men speed through the process of sex, rushing toward the finish line, that they don't notice the subtle build-up, the little waves of excitement that precede the big release. You need to retrain your body to notice these levels. On a scale of 1 to 10. Most men don't stop until they're a 9 at the brink of no return, but the training is to slow down when you're at a 6 or 7. Learn to ride the edge without tipping over. Rise that there. When you feel that peak rising, instead of pushing forward, you slow your movements, you breathe, you shift your focus from your groin to your whole body. You're rewiring your nervous system to understand that orgasmic pleasure can be spread out and condensed into one explosive moment. And here's where breathing comes in. Breath is the secret key to controlling orgasm. Most men hold their breath as they get close to climax, and that creates tension that pushes them over the edge. But when you breathe deeply, slowly, intentionally, you diffuse that energy throughout your body. Instead of pleasure being trapped in one place, it spreads to your chest, your stomach, your legs. You start to feel waves of energy moving through you rather than one quick burst. This is where the second technique comes in, which we'll dive into later, called the power of the pelvic floor. But for now, understand this: breathing and awareness are the tools that give you control. Without them, you're a slave to your reflex. With them, you're in charge of your orgasm. Think at this way: women already experience multiple orgasms because their bodies naturally reset faster. But men have been taught that they can't, that once they climax, it's over. This is cultural programming, not biological fact. There are men all over the world who have learned to orgasm multiple times in a row without ejaculation, who last for hours. They're who can bring their partner to the heights of pleasure without ever feeling drained themselves. And you can do it too. But it starts with this first principle: orgasm is not the same as ejaculation. If you only take away one thing from this speech, let it be this: your body is capable of more than you've been led to believe. Now, before we move to the second technique, I want you to imagine what your intimacy would look like if you mastered this. Imagine being with your partner, and instead of collapsing in exhaustion after one release, you're able to keep going. Imagine giving her wave after wave of intimacy with your energy and your desire still strong. Imagine the look on her face when she realizes you're not finished, that you can continue exploring, connecting, and pleasuring her without needing a break. That's not just a physical advantage, that's an emotional shift there, because she won't just see you as someone who satisfies himself quickly. She'll see you as a man who is in control of his body, his energy, and his desire for her. That level of mastery is magnetic. It makes her want you more because it shows her that sex with you is not predictable, not rushed, not limited. It's expansive, it's abundant, it's an experience. And that brings us to the second technique, which builds directly on this foundation. If separating orgasm from ejaculation is about awareness and breath, the next step is about control and strength. It's about learning to use the muscles in your body that most men ignore, Vic Floor, to direct, hold, and expand orgasmic energy. This technique is the difference between being carried away by pleasure and mastering it so you can ride it again and again. Now let's move into the second technique, the power of the pelvic floor. If batch 1 was about learning that orgasm and ejaculation are not the same thing, batch 2 is about developing the physical control that allows you to hold orgasmic energy inside your body and redirect it instead of releasing it all at once. Most men go through life completely disconnected from their pelvic floor. They don't train it, they don't pay attention to it. And as a result, they lack control at the exact moment they need it most. But if you build strength and awareness in this area, you gain the ability to decide when, how, and how many times you orgasm. So what exactly is the pelvic floor? It's a group of muscles that form a kind of hammock at the base of your pelvis. These muscles support your bladder, your bowels, and yes, your sexual function. They're weak or ignored. Your body simply follows its automatic programming. Arousal builds, tension increases, and when those muscles contract involuntarily, ejaculation happens. But when you strengthen and consciously control these muscles, you can interrupt that reflex. You can experience orgasmic contractions without ejaculating. You can hold back the floodgates and instead spread the energy through your whole body. This is the physical foundation of male multiple orgasms. How do you train your pelvic floor? The simplest and most well-known method is the Kegel exercise. It's the same muscle you use when you stop your urine midstream. Contract it, hold for a few seconds, then release. Do this daily. They're gradually increasing the length and intensity of the hold. Over time, you'll notice that you can flex and release this muscle at will there, and that awareness gives you a level of control most men never develop. But here's the key: don't just do this mechanically. Combine it with breath work. When you inhale deeply, imagine pulling energy into your pelvic floor. When you exhale, relax the muscle and imagine spreading that energy through your torso. This is how you start to feel orgasmic waves that aren't limited to your genitals. Another exercise is reverse Kegels, where instead of tightening, you intentionally relax and push out gently. This helps you avoid the common mistake of clenching too much, which can actually shorten your stamina. True mastery comes from balancing contraction and relaxation, strength and softness. Because orgasm isn't about tensing every muscle in your body. It's about channeling the right energy at the right moment. Now, let's talk about how this plays out in intimacy. Imagine you're with your partner and you feel yourself approaching the point of no return. Most men panic at this stage. They either speed up and finish, or they pull out in frustration. But with pelvic floor control, you have a third option. You slow down, take a deep breath, contract your pelvic floor muscles, and consciously redirect the energy upward. Instead of spilling it out, there you hold it. You feel the orgasmic wave ripple through your body, your chest, even up into your head, but you don't ejaculate. You've just experienced a non-ejaculatory orgasm. Your body shudders, your mind's up, but you're still fully energized, but you can keep going, and now you're ready for another wave. This is how multiple orgasms become possible. Your partner will feel the difference too. She'll notice that you don't collapse or retreat after climax. Instead, you stay engaged, present, and still desiring her. She'll feel your stamina, not just in terms of time, but in terms of passion. Because now, sex with you doesn't feel like a countdown to the finish. It feels like an endless exploration. That changes her experience of intimacy with you forever. And here's where things get even more interesting. When you learn to hold orgasmic energy without ejaculation, you create what's often called a full body orgasm. Instead of pleasure being localized to your genitals, it spreads everywhere. Your legs tremble, your chest tightens in bliss, your scalp tingles. You might even feel emotional laughter, tears, a sense of transcendence. This is the level of intimacy most men never reach. It's available to you when you master the pelvic floor. There's also a psychological shift that comes with this control. Most men live in fear of finishing too quickly. They worry about premature ejaculation, about disappointing their partner, about lasting long enough. That anxiety actually makes the problem worse. But when you know you have the ability to stop, redirect, and experience pleasure without release, all that anxiety disappears. You're free to enjoy the moment, to be present with your partner, to focus on her pleasure of obsessing over yours. Ironically, that presence makes you even more desirable because she feels your confidence. She feels your mastery. She feels that sex with you isn't about rushing or fumbling. It's about deep, lasting connection. This leads us directly into the third technique, edging and wave riding. If technique 2 gave you the physical muscle control to hold orgasm, technique 3 gives you the practice of playing with those edges so you can experience multiple orgasms back to back there, because it's not enough to just have control. You need to learn how to ride the waves of pleasure instead of drowning in them. And that's where edging becomes your greatest training ground. Now, let's get into the third technique, edging and wave riding. This is where the practice really becomes art. If separating orgasm from ejaculation gave you the awareness, and pelvic control gave you the power, edging gives you the training ground. It's the practice that takes theory and turns it into ability. Because let's be honest, knowing you can hold back doesn't mean you will when the moment gets intense. You need a way to build discipline, to train your body to handle more pleasure than it thinks it can. That's what edging is all about. So what is edging? It's the practice of bringing yourself, or letting your partner bring you right to the brink of orgasm, then backing off before ejaculation. You ride the wave up to an 8 or 9 out of 10 in arousal, then slow down, breathe, and let it subside back to a 6. Then you build again, then you pull back. Over and over, you're teaching your body that orgasm doesn't have to mean release. You're rewiring your nervous system to hold more energy, more pleasure, more intensity without spilling it. Why is this so powerful? Because most men's bodies are conditioned for immediate gratification. You feel the wave building, you want to finish, so you finish. But when you train edging, you teach yourself that you can feel that overwhelming intensity and not lose control. You build stamina, not just physical, but psychological. You gain mastery over your arousal instead of being a passenger to it. And when you can do that, you unlock the ability to stack orgasms on top of each other. Here's how to practice edging. Start solo, because self-awareness is key. During self-pleasure, don't rush. Build slowly, breathe, and when you feel yourself getting close to that point of no return, stop or slow way down. There, contract your pelvic floor, take deep breaths, redirect the energy upward. Wait until the intensity drops, then start again. At first, it might feel frustrating. You'll want the release, but over time, you'll notice that every time you edge, your sensitivity increases. The pleasure gets deeper. You start to feel orgasmic waves without actually ejaculating. And the longer you train, the more waves you can ride in one session. Then when you bring this into intimacy with your partner, everything changes. Instead of being predictable, arousal, penetration, climax, done. You create a dance, you give her intensity, then slow down, then build again. She starts to feel like you're not just having sex, you're taking her on a journey. And here's the beautiful part: edging isn't just for you. When you learn to ride those waves, you invite her to do the same. She begins to experience more pleasure, more build up, more release. She sees that sex with you is not about racing the finish, but about creating wave after wave together. That's when intimacy turns into something unforgettable. Now let's add another layering. Wave riding, edging is about pulling back, but wave riding is about using those peaks of intensity as fuel. Instead of backing off completely, you learn to ride the orgasmic sensations without crossing the line into ejaculation. Imagine surfing a wave. You're balancing on top of something powerful, letting it carry you there, but you're not letting it crash. That's what wave riding feels like sexually. You feel the contractions, the tingling, the rush of pleasure, but you stay present, breathing, moving with it instead of against it. Then once that wave passes, another comes and another. That's how men achieve multiple orgasms. There's also a mindset shift here. Realize that most mink orgasm is the goal, the finish line. But when you practice edging and wave riding, you realize orgasm isn't the end. It's the path. You stop chasing one big explosion and instead enjoy the rolling thunder of repeated waves. That change in mindset is what allows you to last longer, connect deeper there, and create experiences that feel abundant instead of scarce. And abundance is magnetic. When your partner realizes you're not limited, that you can keep giving, keep exploring, keep feeling, she's going to see you differently. She'll crave being with you, not just because of the physical pleasure, but because of the emotional richness that comes with it. Another crucial part of this technique is communication. When you're practicing edging with a partner, tell her what you're doing. Say, I want to slow down, that I want this to last. She'll feel flattered that you want to extend the moment. She'll appreciate that you're not rushing, and she'll start to mirror you. She might tease you, slow her movements, or ride your rhythm. Now, it's not just you practicing self-control. It's the two of you playing with energy together. Shared awareness creates intimacy that goes far beyond physical release. Now, one question I often get is, won't this make sex frustrating? Won't he feel teased or unsatisfied? The answer is no, because the pleasure you experience during edging is often more intense than a single ejaculatory release. You're stacking sensations, building layers of energy, creating a body that feels alive from head to toe. By the time you finally choose to ejaculate, if you even do, the release will be more powerful than anything you've felt before. And if you don't, you'll still feel waves of orgasmic bliss that leave you fulfilled and energized instead of drained. This brings us directly into the fourth technique: energy redirection and full body orgasm. This is the advanced stage of wave riding. Once you learn to hold energy, the next step is to move it, to send the orgasmic sensation beyond your genitals, up through your body and out into every nerve ending. This is where sex becomes transcendent, where you start to experience orgasm not as a local release, but as a full body event. And when you learn to do this, you'll not only experience multiple orgasms, you'll experience intimacy as something spiritual, something that changes the way you see connection forever. Then now let's move into the fourth technique, energy redirection and full body orgasm. Up until now, you've learned how to separate orgasm from ejaculation, how to train your pelvic floor for control, and how to practice edging and wave riding to build layers of pleasure. This stage is where you take all of that and transform orgasm into something far greater than you thought possible. Because here's the true thing: orgasm doesn't have to stay trapped in your pelvis. It can move, it can rise, it can spread through your whole body like electricity, turning sex into a full body experience that leaves you feeling euphoric, connected, and alive. This is the difference between release and transcendence. So how do you redirect energy? It starts with breath and awareness. When you feel orgasmic energy building instead of tightening and letting it explode outward through ejaculation, you inhale deeply and imagine pulling that energy up. Visualize it rising from your pelvis into your stomach, your chest, your throat, even the crown of your head. Then exhale slowly and relax into the sensation, letting your body tremble, shudder, or vibrate as the energy spreads. At first, this may feel subtle, like tingles in your chest or a warmth in your spine, but the more you practice it, you'll feel it. Your entire body can orgasm. Your toes, your scalp, your fingertips can all light up when you learn to move the energy. One way to help this process is movement. Don't stay stiff. Let your hips roll, your back arch, your chest open. Movement helps energy travel. Another way is sound. When you moan, groan, or release your voice, you free tension and let orgasm spread. Sound isn't just a reaction, it's a tool. It helps you ride the energy instead of trap. And here's the most powerful part. When you experience a full body orgasm, you don't collapse, you don't feel empty. You feel charged, you feel awake, you feel like you're glowing from the inside out. This is why multi-orgasmic men often report feeling more energy after sex, not less. Because they're not losing life force through constant ejaculation. They're recycling it, amplifying it, enjoying it again and again. Your partner will feel this too. She'll sense that your orgasms aren't just local, they're expansive. She'll see your body trembling, hear your breathing, feel your energy radiating. That intensity pulls her deeper into the experience with you. It's no longer just sex, it's shared ecstasy. She'll want to match your waves, and when she does, the two of you enter a rhythm of connection that feels almost spiritual. This is when sex becomes a bonding experience beyond the physical, and that is what makes you unforgettable. Now let's move into the final technique Afterglow Mastery, because even after multiple orgasms, after wave of pleasure, there's one last phase that most men completely ignore, and yet that makes the entire experience unforgettable for her and deeply fulfilling for you. Afterglow Mastery is about what happens once the intensity fades, when your bodies are still, your breathing slows, and you're lying there together. For most men, this is the point where they detack, roll over, or fall asleep. But if you want to truly master intimacy, this is the moment where you double down on connection. Here's why. The brain doesn't just remember peak experiences, it remembers how they end. Psychologists call it the peak end rule. If the ending is abrupt or cold, it colors the whole memory. But if the ending is warm, connected, and intimate, amplifies the pleasure of everything that came before. That's why Afterglow is so important. It's not just a cuddle, it's a memory anchor. It's the final layer of multiple orgasms that ensures the experience stays with you and with her long after the moment is over. After there. So how do you master Afterglow? First, stay present. Don't rush away from her body. Stay close. Keep your skin on hers. Wrap your arm around her. Kiss her forehead. Run your fingers lightly over her back. Let her feel that you still want closeness. That intimacy doesn't end with orgasm. Second, use words. Whisper something affirming, like, I love how we are together, or you drive me crazy. Simple words become anchors for her memory of the moment. Third, breathe with her. Sync your breathing so you fall in a rhythm again. But this time in relaxation, this deepens the sense of unity between you. For you, their afterglow is also when you reflect on the waves of pleasure you just experienced. This is where you realize how different you feel when you separate orgasm from ejaculation, when you train your pelvic floor, when you ride waves instead of chasing a single finish, when you redirect energy through your body. You feel full, not empty, energized, not drained, connected, not disconnected. And that awareness motivates you to practice again, to keep building your mastery. When you put all 5 techniques together, separating orgasm from ejaculation, mastering your pelvic floor, practicing edging and wave riding, redirecting energy into full body orgasm, and mastering the afterglow, you become a man who doesn't just have sex. You become a man who creates experiences that your partner will never forget, experiences that bond her to you emotionally and physically, experiences that make her crave your touch because she knows sex with you is not a one and done act. It's a journey and adventure, a source of endless pleasure. And for you, the transformation is even greater. You stop living with the fear of finishing too fast. You stop feeling limited by one release. You stop treating sex like a performance and start experiencing it as a connection. You discover new levels of pleasure you never knew you had access to. You become multi-orgasmic, not because you're chasing more, but because you're expanding what's possible. And once you've tasted that, you can never go back. So here's my challenge to you. You don't just listen to these 5 techniques. Practice them, train your awareness, strengthen your pelvic floor, play with edging, redirect your energy, stay present in afterglow. Do this, and you won't just change your sex life, you'll change your relationship with intimacy with your partner and with yourself. You'll realize that male pleasure have to be a sprint to the end. It can be a marathon of waves, a dance of connection, a lifetime of discovery. That's the real secret of multiple orgasms for men. Not just more pleasure, but deep pleasure. Not just more orgasms, but better orgasms. And that's a skill worth mastering for life.